vahetan nüüd ümber inglise keelele, et saaksime ka kõik diskussiooni pidada. So we will now have some questions for all of you. We heard about your success stories. You all have some. But the most popular question from the audience is, what are some common mistakes some organizations make when they want to use volunteers in their activities? So I think most of you have some examples of things not to do with volunteers. Can you give me some examples? And maybe let's start with Renata.
I need to switch on myself. Okay, so I'm switched on now. What I wanted to stress in my presentation that if you are in a hurry, it's very easy to make mistakes. And the biggest mistake you can do with a volunteer is the misleading. That, or you suppose that he or she knows what he or she needs to do. It's usually not the case. So what we experience are very nice volunteers, but you need to be very exact when you assign the job he or she needs to do. Where will you be? From what time till what time? When we were organizing big green festivals, and there's lots of volunteer work there. We used to have the kind of Excel tables where we have listing all the things you need to, in very detailed way. We have the time that from, I don't know, in 2 hours range, and people can sign up there. And the reason for this is, for this 2-hour range, is that you can't expect your volunteer to dedicate your whole day. Maybe there are some who will dedicate their whole day, but maybe you have to give the opportunity for those who have only 2 hours or 4 hours, that they can also contribute to the success of a festival. So the biggest mistake is if you are not leading them. You have to lead your volunteers. You have to be very exact with them.
Does anybody else want to share their experiences as well?
I think that's very important. I wanted to also talk about as a coordinator, you are responsible with talking to the team and ask very specific questions from the team. So if they want to have a volunteer, what they need to do, and that team leader has to give you that information. And here I have to build a bridge, and if that bridge is not strong enough, then the experience of the volunteer later on is not that good.
I have got feedback that from volunteers when they have been volunteers different organizations, and they are telling me that I went there and nobody didn't give me any job, but nobody didn't care about me, and I don't want to go anymore back. So I agree with you that you really have to think through who is responsibility to look and guide your volunteers, that they don't, especially first time when they are coming, and then they are there, and nobody is not guiding them, and it's 1 hour, 2 hour waiting, and after that they will go home and they will get bad experience, which means they will tell the others bad experience, and this is already not good for volunteer side. So
yes, the same, that if you know that you need a team of volunteers for something, you have to give them a team leader who knows what has to be done, how, when, who is there for the volunteers, who is the contact person.
But I have a question here. When you talked about e-volunteers, how do you give enough attention to them? And how do you make sure that they are actually doing what they are supposed to be doing?
Well, we have a meeting with them still, so they need to come to that team leader meeting, and there then they can discuss what is exactly the job and what's the schedule and etc. And after that they can do the remote work.
Yeah, you can't miss the personal meetings with your volunteers? I guess you need to have personal contacts, even they do e-job for you.
At the same time, you can use also sometimes Skype or some kind of phone, ask how you are doing, your schedule. If they don't send the work in that time, of course, you can contact with them and ask what's happening and so on.
Yes, Skype is almost personal.
Yeah.
Another popular question from the audience was about the legislation about volunteering. So we have 3 people from Estonia where we don't have legislation for volunteering, and Renata from Hungary where you do have. So what would be the upsides and the downsides? So people from Estonia, would you like to have legislation on volunteering? Or Renata, would you want it changed or reduced somehow? So what are your opinions?
I don't know, it's having an act on volunteers is a good framework. It's not over-regulates, actually. It's not very typical, but this one is not over-regulates the field. But it gives you a clear understanding who can be a volunteer. Like children under 10 can't be volunteers. If you are under, 18, you have to be, or 16, you have to be an adult with you, and so on. From the side of the organizations, who can have volunteers, who can accept volunteers, it has clarifies a few things. That if you are a business, you have trainees, not volunteers, and that's another issue. It's outside of the issue of legislation. Also in legislation, there is listed that what a volunteer can get, like this clothing and transportation and food and shelter and even some smaller presents and books and training and so on. So there is that what can you give for, from the tax from the tax point of view, you can give free for your volunteers, and how can you thank them their work? So it's mostly a framework, and in this way, I feel it's quite useful.
Yeah, in Estonia we have discussed that already many years. I have been since 2013 leading this volunteer program, and there have been every year discussion. But then when we asked that why we need this law, what we are going to write in this law, then everybody are looking and we don't know, because we have a lot of existing laws. And if we talk about children protection law, then you can put all things what link to volunteers in that law and so on. So I don't know, I haven't got yet any answer for that what we are going to write to that law. So that's why I think we don't have that law.
But you don't
That's
miss
simple.
it here. You don't have to have it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to over-regulate. Hungary is a bigger country. It's a small
Yeah.
country, but still bigger. So maybe that's why we had too many different things there.
I know that in Latvia also they have a law, volunteer law, and they did that law because they really hope that then volunteer numbers increasing. There is you have to register somewhere your volunteers, and for now Estonians have more volunteers than Latvians. So I guess it depends from country and all this background system what they have.
But also you have, in this act, it's written that you can register to this database I showed you, but it's not compulsory. So it's not compulsory to register if you want to have volunteers. You can, and you can reach out more people, but it's not compulsory to register, and even if for a volunteer it's not just not compulsory to register too. And there is a possibility of the agreement between the recipient organization and between the volunteer. It's quite well also stated what it should be about. It says in the law, but you can employ volunteers without this agreement. There is one exception when there are different types of volunteerism. If you employ someone for so-called long-term volunteerism, which is work experience gaining something. There were some EU-funded programs on this topic in Hungary, and the aim was to tackle somehow the unemployment of the young generation. So the young generation, members of young generation were recruited to be long-term volunteers in several organizations, and in that special case you had to have the agreement with them.
Another question from the audience. So there are some volunteers that disappear. Not necessarily that you make them disappear, but they might get lost. So do you plan ahead for these situations, or do you plan ahead for some certain percentage of volunteers, so to say, getting lost?
Well, lost, but they get sick. It's the same. You have a person and then you don't have it. So it's about having someone who can replace. So in putting the teams together, there is always this, how to say, for example, if we are filling up a schedule, so if we have 60 people, then everybody has to do, let's say, 40 hours of work. But if we have 55 people, then everybody has to do 45 hours of work. So it's something like that. From Beth.
Yeah, we don't have such positions for volunteers where they are solely responsible for something. They only work in teams. So what I do, I usually sign up a little more people, and sometimes some people don't come, and sometimes they all come, and I have too many volunteers, and it's also a problem. But what can we do? This is life.
You have to manage it somehow.
But what is the percentage, like usually, of volunteers that get sick ahead of a large event, for example, for Tartu Marathon?
Actually, not large. In
I
our
don't know the
experience,
percentage, but maybe like 10%.
yeah, this is
It's different for different teams.
Yeah, I would say like maybe 3 people, like out of this, like they really get lost.
I think it depends very much how good manager for volunteers there is. If they do good work with volunteers, they explain what this volunteer work means actually for that event or that organization, then volunteers are not lost so easily.
Yeah.
But if volunteers don't feel that they are important, then I guess there is much bigger number of volunteers who are going to be lost. So,
yeah, there is always a risk to lose someone, and it's not just a risk from the side of the volunteer, but from the side of the organization that you can't work with someone, and maybe that's why he or she is missing and not coming anymore, and it can create a real gap. You have to feel, and when after an event you are collecting the lessons learned, you can just put this there. That have to overcome this.
And one
missing
other thing,
thing.
if I see that I have like 5 people missing, I will find some family member or some of my acquaintance who will come and help me.
So you always have a reserve for these situations?
Yes, you have to have that reserve, yeah.
A final question for all of you is, what are some lessons learned during your career as somebody who uses volunteers in their organization? So what is something that you did wrong in the beginning and then learned your lesson and are now doing differently?
And there are so many.
Which is the most embarrassing one?
You can answer. I'm thinking.
Okay, this is something what I just saw these lessons learned, that if you give out a call that we need volunteers and they come, you need to do something with them. And coming till this, having this Excel table with exact tasks and exact time, it was a process of years when we experienced that, we have too many people, what can we do with them? Or we have not enough people, how can we solve the problem? So what I think everybody agreed that there needs to be a person who coordinates all that volunteer stuff. So you have to have a volunteer coordinator if you are a bigger organization. We had in my NGO when I was working for an NGO.
Well, it's... I said also, like, one of the tools is emails. Like, so I call it like this is the official email with the information I'm sending out, and I'm doing now in the festival. I'm doing daily one email, which is going out to 420 people. So in the beginning, I did make a mistake with sending the wrong information because I thought today I'm going to do it, just let it go. And what happens is that you get 400 emails back, like asking, like, are you sure? Can I help? And after that, I'm more like, I would say, really be sure of the information you're sending out and do it rather later. Be late and say, sorry, I was late, but at least you can say that what I said, this is true and this is how we do it, instead of sending out false information. Because with this big festival, in one event, the team information, it has such a big waves, and it can slap you in the face in the end. Yeah.
Teile and Eha, any lessons learned for you?
Maybe that you really have to take time to get to know your volunteers, what are the volunteers' expectations, because if the expectations are like volunteers want to be, I don't know, organization's leader, or maybe actually he or she is dreaming about job, salary, and you don't know that, then you can have very strange situations. One day volunteer is coming and ask when I will get my salary, because that was actually this expectation. Or okay, and now you hear that one local municipality leader is calling to you that and telling that your volunteer is here and telling that she's leading that organization and what's going on, and have you gave up your job, you know? So you really have to know what are volunteers' expectations, and you understand each other very well.
Teile?
Yeah, sometimes when it seems that something is wrong with volunteers or they are not performing as you would like, the problem may be somewhere else. For example, on one of our marathons, the luggage hold was not working properly. People had to wait for a long time, and they said that, why are the volunteers so slow? Why do I have to wait? But the problem was that the luggage hold was built wrong. The fences were positioned wrong, so the volunteers couldn't do a better job. But they felt that they are not good enough, but the problem was elsewhere. It was bad planning.
Thank you, Teile.